In the United Kingdom, postal workers at Royal Mail have begun a fresh 48-hour strike in a low pay and conditions. Also, former Chinese leader Jiang Zemin died on Wednesday at the age of 96. And a suicide bombing in Pakistan Balochistan province killed 3 people and injured 23 others. From the headquarters of TeleSUR English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South. I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada, and these are the news. A group of 67 Peruvian lawmakers presented a new motion of vacancy against President Pedro Castillo. According to local media, the parliamentarians appealed to the constitutional cause of permanent moral incapacity to hold office. The request will be formally sent to the head of the state to be later voted in the plenary, where in order to pass will need 52 votes in favor. This is the third impeachment request the Congress files against Pedro Castillo. The first one was presented in 2021, followed by another in January 2022. In Bolivia, the Senate fully endorsed the law on the national census, a regulation that will implement the results of the population and housing census for the redistribution of economic resources and legislative seats according to population numbers. After a 4-hour session, 22 of the 36 senators approved the law. The bill, which had already received half approval in the Chamber of Deputies, was now sent to the executive for its approval. Additionally, the National Institute of Statistics will send to the Supreme Electoral Court the official data of the census for the drafting of the bill of seat distribution according to the articles of the political constitution of the state and the electoral legislation in force, which will be implemented in the country's next general elections. At least 23 armed groups in Colombia have publicly confirmed their intention to initiate the talks with the government to join in total peace. An investigation presented by the Institute for Development and Peace Studies indicates that the country's armed groups accepted the call made by the President Gustavo Petro to accept legal benefits in exchange for a ceasefire. In the past, also said that at least 10 other groups announced a unilateral ceasefire, according to Peace Commissioner Danilo Rueda. He also highlighted that several armored structures have shown their willingness to negotiate with narco-paramilitary groups such as the Gaitanista self-defense groups of Colombia and the Pacheli in order to bring the necessary peace to the country's communities. Argentina's Vice President Cristina Fernandez accused the representatives of the Public Prosecutor's Office of manipulating the investigation process in the Vialidad case. Fernandez also described the court and the prosecutor's office as a real firing squad.
It was December 2nd, 2019, when I first spoke before this court. I said it was the lawfare court, after all that we went through, and in particular what I went through. I must say that this is more than a lawfare court. I was very generous, I think. In fact, it is a real firing squad. This court is a firing squad.
Thousands of Haitians protested on Port-au-Prince today against the massive deportations they suffer in the neighboring Dominican Republic, and denounced abuses against women and children. The demonstrators carried signs comparing Dominican President Luis Abinader to dictator Rafael Trujillo, responsible for the death of up to some 20,000 Haitians in 1937. They also questioned the alleged racial profiling the immigration authorities apply to their country fellow men who are daily harassed everywhere they go just because of their skin color. More than 50,000 migrants have been returned from the Dominican Republic in the last 3 months, including 1,000 unaccompanied children, according to the National Migration Office. However, Santo Domingo's authorities said deportations of undocumented migrants will continue and pointed out that their commitment is only to their own people. On Wednesday, November the 30th, Barbados celebrated its Independence Day. The day commemorates the island country's independence from the United Kingdom in 1966. The important date is marked by the lighting of the Parliament buildings and office building throughout Bridgertown. Roundabouts of the highways of Barbados are also lit up, creating a spectacular view at night. This year, the president of the island nation, Sandra Mason, joined by members of the Defense and Armed Forces, arrived at Kensington Oval for the Independence Parade, an impressive show, pomp, and pageantry honoring the big event.
The President of Barbados, having been met by the Chief of Staff.
Now we move on to other topics. Mexican health authorities confirmed the application of some 4 million doses of the anti-COVID Cuban vaccine Abdala. While presenting a report on COVID-19 pandemic in Mexico, Health Deputy Secretary Hugo López-Gatell confirmed the arrival of a Mexican Air Force plane on Saturday with a shipment of 4 million doses of vaccine from Havana. The federal official explained that they will be applied within the framework of the reinforcement plans for the protection of the Mexican adult population. The country is currently registering an increase in the number of infections of the SARS-CoV-2 virus, which causes COVID-19. Let's take a short break, but first, remember you can follow us on our TikTok account at TeleSUR English, in which you will be able to see news in different formats, news, updates, and more. Other stories coming up, stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. In the United Kingdom, postal workers at Royal Mail have begun a fresh 48-hour strike in a row paid and conditions. This is the latest in a series of walkouts involving more than 100,000 workers and will hit deliveries across the United Kingdom. The Communication Workers Union, which represents the workers, demanded a pay rise that matches the soaring cost of living. The dispute began this summer after Royal Mail rejected the union demands for a pay rise to cope with inflation, with the rate at which prices rises, which is currently 11.1%. Postal workers walked out on Thursday and Friday last week, and another wave of strike is planned in the run-up to Christmas on December the 9th, 11th, 14th, 15th, 23rd, and 24th. European Central Bank President Christine Lagarde reiterated the central bank's determination to fight record-high inflation, noting that the institution will continue to raise interest rates even as the economy weakens. Lagarde stated before the European Parliament at a meeting on monetary policy that the inflation of the Eurozone had not yet peaked because of too much uncertainties. The former managing director of the International Monetary Fund also said that affected by tighter financial conditions and weak global demands, the economy of the Eurozone was expected to continue to weaken for the rest of this year and early 2023. According to the European Union Statistics Office, the inflation of the Eurozone hit a record high of 10.6% in October. Rocketing energy bills are forcing Hungary to close libraries, theaters, swimming pools, and even its new football stadiums for winter. The state-of-the-art grounds are among a long list of buildings no longer able to cope with rising energy prices in the Central European country. Despite being one of the country's richest cities, Székesfehérvár is one of many closing its museums, libraries and theaters. According to the experts, other cities, particularly in the poorer eastern regions, are threatened with bankruptcy unless they get state support. The energy crisis and effects from the conflict in Ukraine has put pressure on Prime Minister Viktor Orban, who has made low household utility bills a core policy over the last decade.
If we carry out these measures, which are not for fun but unavoidable, then I think the local government and its institutions and public service can be profitable. We can protect workplaces and pay wages, but if this high energy price remain, especially in long term, then there will be municipalities that do not have enough income to compensate the increase of energy prices.
Now we move on to other topics. The United Nations World Meteorological Organization said all the regions of the world saw water extremes last year, both floods and droughts, in its first annual State of Global Water. The report assesses the effects of changes in climate, environment, and society on the Earth's freshwater resources, limited supplies that are under increasing demand in order to better manage them. Some 3.6 billion people face inadequate access to fresh water at least 1 month a year. This figure is projected to rise to more than 5 billion by 2050. According to the studies of the UN, between 2001 and 2018, 74 of all natural disasters were water-related. Unprecedented flooding occurred in Western Europe and Amazon, while water levels in rivers in Paraguay and southern Brazil dropped to an all-time low. In Brazil, firefighters are carrying out search and rescue work after a landslide swept at least 15 vehicles off the highway in the municipality of Guaratuba, southern state of Paraná. According to preliminary information, firefighters could locate a dead body among the debris and rescue another person with vital signs, who has already been taken to the hospital. They also reported that there is still no precise number of missing persons. Despite all the efforts, the fire department had to interrupt these works on Monday night due to unstable weather, but they quickly resumed it on Tuesday. According to a statement issued by the regional government of Paraná, state security authorities might soon declare on the assistance to the victims and present a report on the action in progress. And Hawaii remains on alert after Mauna Loa volcanic eruption. Hawaiian Health Department reported high levels of sulfur dioxide, airborne ash, and volcanic smog in Mauna Loa's emissions. The health agency said that lava flows were contained within the mountain area and did not pose a threat to hillside communities. U.S. Geological Survey reported a 4.0 magnitude earthquake east of the town of Pahala, 32 kilometers deep below sea level. According to the report, it has no apparent relation or impact in the Mauna Loa eruptions. On Saturday, firefighter search teams dug through mud and debris in the Italian island of Ischia as they hunt for 4 people still missing after a landslide. 8 people have been found dead, among them a 3-week-old infant and his parents. Exceptionally heavy rain caused a fragment of Mount Ipomio to collapse, gaining speed as it precipitated onto the town of Casamicciola, where it demolished buildings and carried vehicles into the sea. Mud and water flooded some 30 houses, and more than 200 residents in the town of 8,300 remain homeless. Geologists have pointed out a pattern of construction that interferes with natural water runoffs of this volcanic mountain island that is susceptible to both landslides and earthquakes. And we have more news coming up after a final short break, so stay with us. Welcome back to From the South. Former Chinese leader Jiang Zemin, who steered the country through a transformation into an era from the late 1980s and into the new millennium, died on Wednesday at the age of 96. Jiang Zemin passed away due to leukemia and multiple organ failure in Shanghai. His death was announced in a letter expressing profound grief, addressed to the whole Communist Party, military, and Chinese people. When Jiang replaced Xiaoping as leader in 1989, China was still in the early stages of economic modernization. By the time he retired as president in 2003, the Asian giant was a member of the World Trade Organization. Beijing had secured the 2008 Olympics, and the country was well on its way to superpower status. A suicide bombing in Pakistan's Balochistan province on Wednesday killed 3 people and injured 23 others. According to local authorities, the suicide bomber blew himself near a police truck in Balochistan's Keras Balay area. The truck was carrying security personnel to protect polio workers at an ongoing vaccination drive. Kera Deputy Inspector General of Police Ghulam Asfar Mahezar confirmed the attack and said that 20 police persons were injured in the attack. Israeli occupying forces shot and killed 5 Palestinians on Tuesday. Israel has killed 158 Palestinians in the occupied territories so far this year. The Palestinian Health Ministry also reported that another Palestinian citizen, 44, was shot in the head and killed during a crackdown by Israeli soldiers in Beit Umar town. 9 other citizens were wounded after being shot with live ammunition. Let's go now to Qatar. On Tuesday, the last matches of the group stage in Group A of the FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022 took place. The match between Ecuador and Senegal defined which team will be in the round of 16. A draw was enough for the South American team to go through, but the current African champions had other plans. Senegal took the lead with a penalty scored by Ismail Azar in the 44th minute. In the second half, Ecuador tried and got the equalizer with a goal by Moises Caicedo, but only 3 minutes later, Senegal's captain Kalidou Koulibaly put his team ahead again. In this way, Senegal qualified as second in Group A. And England booked a World Cup last 16 clash against Senegal as Marcus Rashford and Phil Foden inspired a 3-0 win against Wales that sends their neighbours out of the tournament. Rashford scored twice to move into a group of 4 players level on 3 goals in the race for the Golden Boot. Phil Foden was also on target as the 3 Lions set up a last 16 clash with Senegal on Sunday. England are in the tournament's top scorers with 9 goals despite drawing their second group game against the United States. And the U.S. beat Iran 1-0 to reach the last 16 of the World Cup thanks to a 38-minute goal from Christian Pulisic. During the second half, the Iran national team was close to scoring the equalizer, but they were not lucky in front of goal. The controversy came at the 98th minute. Referee Matthew Lahoz did not check the video assistance referee for a possible penalty in Iran's favor. The Spanish official decided to not call it despite the replay showing a possible foul. And this is a good story. For the first time in history, a woman will referee a World Cup match, no other than the one between Germany and Costa Rica, to be played on December the 1st. On Tuesday, FIFA announced French Stéphanie Frappart will become the pioneer for women referees. She will work on Group E match between Germany and Costa Rica this Thursday. Stéphanie Frappart will have assistant referees Neuza Bach and Craig Diaz by her side. This is not the first time Frappart, one of the 3 women referees in Qatar 2022 World Cup, has made history in high-level men matches. In 2019, she was chosen to referee the UEFA Super Cup clash between Liverpool and Chelsea. And just as the hearts of millions of fans live the emotions of the Qatar 2022 World Cup, TeleSUR joins this sporting event with From the Field, a show that brings news, analysis, reviews, and more to our audience. Don't miss it. Our show airs 1 p.m. local time in Caracas and 12 p.m. New York. Remember, From the Field, only on TeleSUR. And we have come to the end of this news brief. But remember, you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And also, if you feel so inclined, please join us on social media for all the latest news. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm your anchor, Gladys Quesada. Thank you for watching.
This is Carlos.